crazy part when you get to all these bans. This is why we get into the best of fives. This is why I was so excited to see, you know, unfortunately we didn't get as many 5-game best of fives, but best of fives to kick off the season. And a lot on the line here, at least for pride's sake, between these two teams. As Set is going to be a ban that we actually saw Flandre try to attempt to play that pick the other day. Didn't go so well. We have the Diana banned as well, so taking away some of that engage potential.
A few more of those more AP jungle focuses as well. Victor also going to come off of the board. And both of these teams have got themselves quite strong identities right now. As much as I like what Ultra Prime have been doing for themselves so far, this is not quite the full teamfight composition that I think they've been really good at. The Blitzcrank means you can turn it into a little bit of a pick one as well. I quite like that for them. At the same time though, what OMG have right now is a great basis for teamfights. They just need some more frontline to work alongside this Rakan, otherwise they're going to be in a pretty rough spot come teamfight time. Still, they need a little bit of extra something in the mid lane potentially. Sylas going to be locked in. Why not? There's a bunch of great ultis already available to you.
I could take some... Oh!
What?
The Tryndamere! Is that Tryndamere jungle? No?
No?
Tryndamere mid with Lilia Ultra Prime said, let's just throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I love it. You get some spice. You get a lot of things for Ultra Prime's composition that can completely kilter the game.
What? Okay, fine. Right, that is going to be the lock-in. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll see what the final pickup right here for OMG is going to be.
Give us the Volibear, please.
I would much prefer the Volibear over the Graves. There we go. It will be the Volibear locked in right here as well. And this is a small part of my surprise with the Tryndamere, right? There's layers to it. But one of the layers certainly is picking Tryndamere when you've seen your opponent has Sylas already, because that's a heck of an ulti to give over to a Sylas. If he gets strong, nicks that ulti away and gets into the backline, what do you do? There are very few things you could actually do to stop a Sylas who's stolen away that Undying Rage.
Ah, that's going to be so fun to watch. I guess there's a little bit of a pick of the litter in terms of ultis to steal, but man, we get the Lilia jungle too as well. Very high paced, very fast clearing style. Kind of honestly what I expect with the dwindling down of the jungle pools, but when we get to this moment, we get to a heavy focus around mid lane in this game number 5. Do we see any potential for kind of these spice picks coming out from Ultra Prime to finish off this series?
I mean, it was always on the cards, right, that they could just pull something this wacky out. I gotta be honest, I was expecting spicy. I wasn't expecting this. This is next level of just like, yeah, like you said, spaghetti at the wall. I like that as a metaphor right here. What on earth is this one? As much as we are surprised, right? Sylas Tryndamere, really interesting actually as a matchup, and potentially a lot more explosive than we've been seeing from these mid lane matchups previously. We've had a lot of mid laners who are just sitting, farming, getting involved in the team fights, but not really trying to win the individual 1v1. I think that's different in this matchup.
Well, we're going to be getting into it here very soon. Silver Scrapes already down. Game 5 on the line. Pride on the line as the final game for both these two teams here in the winter split. And those Gyos going loud.
Yeah, those chants are great to hear. Everybody's got to be so excited for this one. We really haven't had a lot of these series so far this split actually go all the way to 5 games.
It's so sad.
Yeah, I know. So many best of 5s available to us, and so few actually making it the distance, especially with this just brilliant, fearless format where you're just... you get crazy stuff like this. What more could you possibly want? Either way, this is the end for both of these teams. We won't get to see either of these teams again until next split. So this is the game to really pull out whatever you want. Really end it with a bang. Both of these teams definitely going to want to end on a high as well. It would feel really good going into next split to have been able to pick up a win right here, especially in such a banger of a series. He said, we'll have to see how this one starts out. RosieLove constantly stepping up, and I've been loving watching RosieLove this entire series. If I had to pick a champion for somebody who I've been enjoying their engages to pick up, I think Blitzcrank might be the perfect one.
The boomer bust nature is going to be interesting for me. I was going to say, when you're talking about kind of final moments, I think Starry, if he has a worse performance than last game, it's just going to be like, can we just like end it on the last game?
Yeah,
like when I was destroying it on Jinx, it's totally fine. But we'll see if he can kind of keep up some of that performance going on here. We do have a little bit of a lane shenanigans going on in the mid lane, at least in that 2v1.
Yeah, 2v2 mid lane, not exactly what you usually expect. Both of these bot lanes are just going to be absolutely free to do exactly what they want. You can see actually the early recall coming through from RosieLove, potentially going to look to go and get involved in another lane, and teleport early on going to be used by Jiang. Now, bit of a risky situation.
Okay, we'll see if he can actually get his way. Nice little flash there to get away.
Oh,
as
this
he
is
hits
nice.
back Heng. You also have Hery coming down here, so it's getting a little bit more dicey.
Oh,
Flash
man.
coming through. There's the CC stun, the Sky Splitter. It's going to get a nice shield. Moham tanks it beautifully, but RosieLove tried to actually find a little bit of an angle. Won't find it. That's plates, that's first blood, and that's a lot for OMG.
It really is, but at the same time, you are spending a lot of time and members down in this bottom lane at the exact same time at which Junhao is able to just start farming up throughout the rest of the jungle. Exactly what you want as the Lilia. You don't really want to be getting involved early on as a Lilia, and so knowing exactly where your jungle opponent is good. Overall, of course, it is going to be a benefit to OMG. But it's not going to be completely free. They need to continue pushing this advantage as much as possible. In fact, they have actually changed things up. Decided to send Starry and Moham up towards the top side. Potentially they are happy to just lane in to Wako and RosieLove. It's always risky whenever there's a Blitzcrank. You can get caught out, and you're not particularly mobile as the Kai'Sa. At the same time, though, right now there's no Blitzcrank in that lane, so why not just go and have that free 2v1? Oh,
nice,
no.
they get him as the unsuspecting bear in the jungle is going to fall to RosieLove of all people. And this is where you're falling prey to the speed of Lilia's clear.
Yeah, you would, on almost any other champion, be expecting that the Lilia hasn't been able to make it to this point. Junhao, though, easily going to be able to get there, stealing away the buff as well, picking up these Scuttle Crabs too, really accelerating this Lilia up in the matchup. Now, you seemed very excited when the Volibear popped up. Is this a champion you're particularly into? Is this one that you love to watch?
I just love seeing the kind of boomer bust nature of that Sky Splitter combo all the time. I want to see if it's actually proficient enough for Heng in his kind of wheelhouse to have the clear speed answer, I guess. If you can get action, if you can have good timings on these like major objectives, I think you can be very powerful in the skirmishing. So that's what I'm looking for, at least for Heng, and who's looking at top lane now as the 2v2 has kicked off.
Do you potentially want to go for a dive right here? Because it doesn't really feel like there's a particular gank angle. Indeed.
At all, yeah.
Like, yeah, Heng agrees with that one. Hey, if you are RosieLove, you can make a gank happen there for your jungler because you can pull somebody in. That's not the same, unfortunately, for OMG's bot lane. So Heng's just going to step back into the jungle. Like you said, the objectives are going to be very interesting. Part of the reason you like to roam your bot lane up towards the top of the map. Oh, hang on.
Got the cleanse out immediately from Starry. Gonna get a beautiful blade collar right back as well. Decent amount of damage on the Moham. But honestly, it's just not fair. RosieLove is working with multiple brains. There's multiple cats in that Blitzcrank suit, and it's just not fair.
Another hook. Junhao is here. Okay. Moham just about going to be able to get away.
The brain cell didn't connect that time between the kitty cats, you know? It's fine.
Oh, good. No, I mean, trying to get the hook onto Moham is definitely a lot harder. Starry is the easier target to try to pick up, most certainly. With all of this shenanigans going on in the top lane, it opens up plenty of space down bot side for Heng to go ahead and try to pick up this Drake. Hextech Drake, one of the best ones to get individually. It gives you just stats that everybody loves. Everybody loves being able to auto-attack and use abilities a little bit more. And now, more than enough time right here for Heng to move up towards this top side. We've seen a lot of skirmishes in this series around this initial set of grubs. I don't particularly think this series is going to be any different.
I don't think so either. Going to go for the early smite there just to make sure they can get one for Ultra Prime. I am interested, now that we're getting level 6s for these solo lanes, if we're going to get a big influence of that here, as RosieLove has made it over. Moham immediately flashes, gets the hook there, and unfortunately Linfeng just ate that one. And Saber picks up the kill. That's the least one that you want to have the gold on if you're OMG.
Now, OMG, they decide that they do need to contest for these grubs, but they don't bring enough members over, and they don't approach the fight in a good way. You can't just step up against something like a Blitzcrank, a Lilia. These champions are more than happy to punish you very heavily for that one, and it is going to be those 3 grubs going over to up.
That's crazy that they actually got all 3 of them. Honestly, I feel like that was a bit of a scared moment from Moham.
Disrespect right there from Linfeng to step up in that situation. Really, they didn't have the fast track onto this objective. They needed to have stepped around the back of the pit, potentially tried for something a little bit slower paced. Instead, I think possibly because Heng had been down in the bottom lane getting that initial Drake, felt like they were on a real timer to go and get these. Obviously, Lilia, as we've been saying, clears super fast. That is the same thing when taking those grubs too. And with that time pressure, perhaps felt like they needed to step up a little bit too quickly. And like you said, giving over kills onto people you don't particularly want to be giving them to. RosieLove having the kill isn't ideal, but the fact that Saber has one is huge.
Yeah, I'm wondering though, since we have a little bit of time, what is the goal of this Tryndamere setup here? Especially because we've seen Silas running rampant when going through the long distances of Fearless, but the Tryndamere trying to provide side laning pressure, trying to provide pressure in a lot of ways, but backline access as well, I guess?
Yeah, backline access, I think, is going to be the main determining factor right here. The rest of this composition kind of just wants to play front to back, which is fine, but you are up against some champions that can do a lot from long range. Specifically, I think Hery is the one who you're really going to be wanting to look to chase around as Saber. If you can just sit and land a lot of those little rockets, get a good equalizer off in a team fight, the Rumble can do ungodly amounts of damage. But if you're being chased around by a Tryndamere who's unkillable, it's obviously a lot harder to do that. Same sort of thing can be said for Starry. And then on top of that, like you were saying, you've got that side lane pressure that you can put down too, can just absorb towers if you aren't careful. And I gotta be honest, watching this series, both of these teams have had a little bit of an issue with keeping side lanes pushed out, using them effectively. This is going to make it a lot easier for Ultra Prime and a lot harder for OMG.
Such a nice way to put it. I like it, you know?
Hey, I'm nothing if not nice.
I love that. We are getting a little bit closer to the next grub spawn. That later dragon means the spawns will be about right on top of each other. Maybe a little bit of look towards top side, as that Swirl Seed did end up hitting on the Moham. But it's going to be a bit of a tussle here, because giving over those first 3 grubs to Ultra Prime gives them a lot of that power and decision-making potential around that objective. We're going to be all out down here.
Okay.
Young wants to take Hery to town. Let's get a little bit of speed there. I don't think those jetpacks, the flash is enough. The jetpacks weren't.
No, Hery needing to flash right there. That's a big flash. You're pretty squishy and immobile on this Rumble, especially during the early stages of the game. And that was a Cassante with a
big
Spectre
bear
Scout.
coming.
Yeah.
It's like watching Jurassic Park, except with a bear, a giant bear. You just feel the rumbles. He immediately turns around. He's like, oh, goodness. Well, we're going to go with some Alco Gaming here. Can you get away from the bear? As there's a little bit of a flamethrower behind him, too. I don't know. That's an unfair combo, but it is Cassante, so bring everything you can against this guy, as Hery will take him out. We get a little bit of a 1v1 under turret in mid lane. Saber's just going for the turret plates and get his way out of there.
Saber doesn't care. This is now twice that we've cut to mid lane and watched Saber hitting the tower whilst Linfeng is hitting him. Like, that's crazy
Tryndamere,
levels of disrespect. Yeah, Tryndamere gaming to the absolute maximum. And actually really good timing on that bottom lane play from Heng. Before we get the second set of grubs spawning, more than enough time to have made his way up towards the top side. But in fact, decides against it. Potentially just wants to go for this Drake. We've seen this trade quite a lot. Junhao, though, going to be more than happy to pick up the rest of these grubs. 6 available to Ultra Prime is going to be huge, because we've just been talking about how the Tryndamere steps up onto the tower and is melting them in the face of the opposition. What, 10 minutes into the game? Well, imagine with 6 grubs available, it's going to be getting that much better.
Oh, that's going to be insane. I mean, that's like perfect situation for Ultra Prime when they drafted this comp. as it will be a second dragon. Two very good dragons for OMG, mind you, in individual status, but we'll see if that 6 grubs comes knocking later on. TP gonna come in. Ooh, little early hook there from RosieLove. Lilting Lullaby is gonna be sung sweetly here as they want to go in under turret. They're tanking the turret. Nice double stun, and Ultra Prime are coming away with everything.
And they're gonna pick themselves up all of the kills, most of this tower
Run
as
away,
well.
Linfeng.
And Linfeng, I don't think he wanted to step up here.
That man's got a big sword. You watch out. Oh, the kitty cat's just so close, RosieLove. But that is going to be 4 plates, maybe even the turret here for Ultra Prime.
The tower. Yeah, there's no response right here. That is going to be the feat going over to Ultra Prime. They've managed to pick themselves up 3 kills and first break very early on into the game as well. And in terms of starts you want to game 5s of a best of 5, it would be this one. This is a really nice dive. I love the way that you get to immediately initiate it right here with the swell seed and just jump Hery. The second that he is slept right here, there's really nothing you can actually do about this one. RosieLove does have to flash away to make sure that he doesn't die to the tower, but it's a small price to pay.
Jiang going under turret here with the all-out. Moham had to flash, and now we get the Void Seeker combo. One more auto, and Starry still strutting his stuff.
A little bit over-aggressive potentially. This is now the second time we've cut to Jiang, and he's going in versus a couple of people. RosieLove really wants to hit this hook. He isn't quite able to do so. To be fair, if you do grab Starry there, you blow the flash, the cleanse, something at least.
Absolutely.
And with Saber in the wings, could have been a kill.
I love that Moham was like, just in case you don't sidestep it, I got you, boo. I'm gonna stop this. Look at this damage. My God, it's 13 minutes in. He's gonna get even more plates there as we do get flashes on mid lane. Nice combo, and OMG, they're cooking. Oh God, somebody's got to finish him. They used the Feather Storm to finish him off. Linfeng now getting chased down by the rest of the members of Ultra Prime. He does have a lot of mobility, but I don't know if he's got that much mobility. Swirl Seed connects, and he's slowed down. Jiang gets the kill as now Saber takes another turret.
Yeah, this is Tryndamere. This is what you pick Tryndamere for in this game. As much as we reacted in shock and awe to the Tryndamere pick, and it is crazy, it makes sense, especially, as I was saying earlier, into OMG, who haven't necessarily been able to stop side lane pushes so far. The way that Saber is playing this one, he's just going to walk into lanes, probably seesaw between top and bot lane, and every time he arrives in a lane, if you don't have 1, if not 2 members in that lane, he's going to take a tower. Now, it's at its absolute best, obviously, when there's turret plates to take as well. There's a massive injection of gold, and you can see up 2,000 gold at just 14 minutes into the game. But still, if you're losing structures every time you try to step up to go play another one of these objectives, or if you have to constantly send someone over to go deal with him, how do you actually play out these team fights?
It's so difficult. I also just, thinking about past moments and thinking about last game as well, where Ultra Prime, had some advantages going their way, and things didn't necessarily pan out. So, a couple thousand gold mean nothing to me, and we'll see if they can actually make it worth it. Now, we are getting close to those second items for a majority of carries here, at least for Saber. And specifically Saber, because that second item, that third item for this Tryndamere is truly just going to set the map ablaze.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Stripebreaker build as well. It means stepping up to this Tryndamere is even worse of an idea than it would be otherwise. You're still going to be dealing plenty of damage on towards these towers. Got a couple of minutes until anything particularly big is spawning. Rift Herald just under a minute. Ocean just over. Now with those 2 early Drakes taken for OMG, if they once again want to try to play around this Soul, then let's see where Heng is going to go. If he goes down towards the bottom lane, I think that is once again going to be the idea. And to be honest, if I am Ultra Prime, I would just leave it. I wouldn't be that bothered about just going topside, picking myself up the Rift Herald, and using it to get even more towers, even more structures. Because if you get enough structures before the point at which Atakan and Baron are spawning, the map becomes so small for OMG that they can't step up to go and try to involve themselves in those fights.
I also want to check back into a conversation about the jungle that we've been returning to. Oh, speaking of jungle, they catch out Heng. He's going to have to get out of that one. And I was just about to say that the pacing of the Lilia is still keeping up and having about a half-level advantage over Heng for Junhao.
Yeah, I mean, the way that this one has been played out so far is exactly how you want Lilia to be played, right? You don't really want to be getting involved in too many big fights, too many big skirmishes. You're all about farming, keeping yourself ahead, and so far has done a very good job of that. Heng actually doesn't go towards that Drake, instead did want to start up onto the Herald, but immediately gets bullied off, and it doesn't feel like there's any real response from OMG. They're kind of just letting this happen.
And maybe, oh, Saber waiting in the wings. Realize there's two people walking this way, not necessarily going to take that fight there, but they are repositioning around this dragon side of the map. OMG said we might not get the Rift Herald, but we want to at least get something and go ahead and start it up.
TP.
Okay, we'll see if they actually get a little bit of a flank going here. If they want to take the fight, Moham does end up using his Grand Interest to get away from the fight there. And the dragon will reset. So, Ultra Prime, they get their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, this is a problem for OMG, and this is something that I feel like is a part of why this team has looked so fun individually, but the team play just isn't quite there. There's a lot of rookies. I wonder if it will be better for them next split, but at least so far in this split, it's felt really difficult for OMG to use any individual advantages they may or may not get for themselves and actually turn it into objectives, actually turn it into picking up everything else. I mean, the composition is difficult to play into, right? You've got a lot of poke that you can get layered down, and then if you get jumped like this...
Speaking of, he just used the Grand Entrance, so he has to flash away. Moham is just not having a good time.
Every single time, you just get jumped. RosieLove, I was very excited to watch this player coming into this series, and so far have not been disappointed. It's been a real catalyst for the big plays that have happened for Ultra Prime so far in this series. Rift Herald now going to come down mid, not going to be ridden, still going to be able to pick up that tower, and that's another tower gone, and also there's a push going on top lane from Saber. It is at least going to be responded to, but you can tell already, just 18 minutes into this game, OMG are getting dragged around the map, trying to respond to the constant push onto these towers, stem the bleeding. It's not really working so far.
And you were saying earlier about maybe some of the non-proactive plays that OMG are working with right now. Do we feel like they're maybe planning on trying to wait this one out a little bit, wait till those kind of 3 item spikes come through for Starry, where we have some of that damage potential to back it up?
I feel like that may well be the decision that OMG have gone towards. You know, things have gone a bit wrong early game, so let's wait until we've got our item breakpoints. Unfortunately, Ultra Prime are both ahead, so hitting their item breakpoints first, and pretty much spike at the same time. This is a lot of the same sort of champions who like that 2 to 3 item point as well. And so just trying to sit out, just trying to wait for this game to come to you isn't necessarily going to be the best system. I don't know it's going to work out for OMG, but they've committed on this path right now, and I don't really know how they can change it at this point. Volibear, very effective at ganking, but we're beyond that point. Nobody's in their individual lanes right now. You are all over the map, and that means the Volibear is just about being able to be annoying in these team fights, get onto the backline, you know, sky splitter your way down.
Yeah. Try to find those engages.
Yeah, hopefully you've got to. Somebody's got to. Moham and Heng are the engage here.
Little shout out to Junhao. Throwing up the BLG merchandise there with his emote, giving him a little bit of a shout back to where he came from, at least up into the promotion this year on the Ultra Prime. It's the last series for both these two teams, so you know they got to leave everything out there. And honestly, that's why I'm so proud about this series, and that's why I've loved watching this, is because these teams are really just leaving it all out here.
They really are. It's the best show of, hey, never give up. We're going to put everything on the table. Super young players as well, so they want as much big level stage experience as possible. It always is a shame when you get onto the last week, and unfortunately a lot of the matchups are 0-2, but still, this one has been incredibly exciting. We've also got Atakan spawned up at this point. Once again, Ruinous, we really haven't had particularly bloody games so far. And both of these teams have had slight struggles with being able to pick up Atakan for themselves efficiently without losing a couple of members. And I could see this team fight ending bloody as well.
LPL team so terrified of the Atakan. RosieLove, you know they're there. Oh God, run away! he did survive. Hey, and that's all that matters, because now they might get the lilting lullaby. Not gonna pull it. We're threatening it. Now they're just moving Vision out around this dragon pit, dragon spawning in less than a minute.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Lilting Lullaby didn't go down. I think it would have been a pretty good opportunity. You had both Starry and Moham split out from the other side. Yeah, I bet if you could hear the comms, they are not happy about that situation. Not quite sure why Ultra Prime didn't pull the trigger. I think they didn't expect to be able to fully 100% get the kill. Obviously, Flash and Cleanse are both up and available for Starry, so it would have been a tricky kill to actually be able to get. And maybe you're looking for a better swell seed to land so you can hit onto more members with that Lilting Lullaby. Still, it is going to be a push down in the bottom lane. Mid lane priority as well has been established for Ultra Prime, so they're in a very good spot in this game to be able to set themselves up right here for this Drake, for this Atakan. Reset coming through from Linfeng, so he will be able to join this fight.
Should have all tools available. Ultra Prime doing a really good job of clearing out some of that vision that was lagging behind a little bit. They're going to start up the dragon here, realizing that Linfeng does have TP. They will just be waiting for that trigger pull as RosieLove trying to pull his own trigger. The dragon about a quarter down now, getting closer and closer to half health. Starry looking to step up. Linfeng still has a massive flank here as Ultra Prime aren't really moving. That's the dragon down to Ultra Prime. The big quickness on top of the equalizer. Blade Caller right back though as Junhao makes it out of wave. Linfeng with that flank. Starry finding that huge angle with the killer instinct. Now Saber, it's his time to shine.
Saber.
He's trying to go reckless, but he can't do it. He just gets the one. And OMG, they're making it look like Game 4 all over again.
Yeah, Ultra Prime, they're able to pick themselves up that Drake, but they're going to lose the Atakan buff on top of all of the deaths that end up going down. The key point right there, Hery, brilliant on the equalizer, lands it across 4 or 5 members in that fight, and it means that everybody from Ultra Prime just has to take the Drake and scatter. You can see it right here. Equalizer lands down, hits onto Wako specifically, and then Moham pulls the trigger, knows that he has to go in. Then the rest of this fight, it's just all in favor of OMG. The only moment at which you feel like maybe Ultra Prime get something done is the fact that Saber does do a lot of damage, and with that Unending Rage is at least able to get 1 kill back, but it's slim pickings for the actual buffs that they end up getting from this one. Losing Atakan here is not a good thing.
Sheesh. Look at that red carpet damage. Damn. Hery getting a really nice combo there with Moham with the quickness right on top of it all, just making him sit on the coals. And that's some of that team fight aspect that maybe OMG have been waiting for. We were talking about them playing a little bit more, you know, reclusive in nature, and being able to pull that out in that fight is huge because now it feels like momentum is shifting a bit on the map.
Yeah, and this is the name of this series, right? Back and forth, shifting momentum. Doesn't really matter who gets the early lead so far in this series. These teams are volatile enough that you can have things change. Saber gonna get dove right here. Always a bit of a risk to try to dive onto a Tryndamere. Just more backing him off, I think, to be able to take this turret. And this is what you really need to do as OMG. They lost a ton of turrets early on. They didn't have the map pressure. Well,
okay.
It's Atakan. You still get 200 gold, so it's at least... It's not that bad. Still, you don't really want to get caught that far out of position, and I think that's the way the Ultra Prime need to continue to try to play this game. Find as many RosieLove hooks as possible. I assume that's how this one started.
Yeah.
Yep, yoink.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get yoinked there, there's very little you can do. Even the very mobile champion of a Rakan, if you're able to get onto one of the less mobile champions as well and blow them up, the 4v5 obviously much easier to play out.
Dude, how cool is it to see, though, that Starry is just stepping up for OMG, right? Like, being able to see this guy just step up 2 games in a row like this has been so impressive. And OMG going to be happy with some of their dealings here as they go under turret. Big Lilting Lullaby. That's on to 3 members. Blade Caller right back. Junhao is trying to get damage down, and now you got a big follow-through as huge damage on the Moham. More bodies are falling. Yeah, the Khan might be at your side, but Ultra Prime are looking at Baron.
And this is not worth it. I've seen so many teams recently do this. Hey, we've got the Atakan buff. We might as well just go dive under tower, get the resets off. It's a quick recall. No, you're getting tons of gold over. They are going to make it back in time for this Baron, although it is burning through fast.
I don't know. I think Ultra Prime are really throwing it here if they go for it. They're just going to go for the split. They're going to go for the toss. They're going to go for the flip. And it's taken! Junhao takes those heads every day! And so Saber in a lot of trouble here. There's a big blade caller back. Flame Spitters doing some work. Hery is cleaning up the back line. Young trying to finish off the rest of OMG, but OMG are strong together with a double kill from Hery. Young going down. One more flip, and it's Starry cleaning him up.
What am I watching?
LPL, baby!
This is peak LPL gaming right here. Right off the back of OMG deciding to run it through mid and give up all of those Atacam buffs and the gold that comes with it. Ultra Prime, rather than taking that advantage that they've just been handed on a nice little silver platter, they decide to go and hand it right on back. We're playing hot potato with the win right here.
Literally.
And you at least get the smite onto the Baron, but at the point at which you get back to this fight as OMG, the Baron's done about half of the HP to the Ultra Prime members, and the rest of the team fight is made so much easier. Jiang tries to get into the backline, actually manages to stun up a good couple of members, and if you're in this situation on equal health, maybe this is fine, but you're not. You've also just managed to get back to base as OMG, so you've bought extra items. You're in such a stronger position. And Ultra Prime, they don't have the kind of composition that can just insta-melt Baron. It's fast. It was a fast Baron take, not fast enough.
And with that in mind, there's yet another objective on the Rift, and it's going to be taken by OMG, so that's going to be sole point for them. They'll finally get an Ocean Dragon to add to their tally, as Ultra Prime were actually looking for a play topside and a tier 2 turret up there with Saber. They should be able to take that one pretty simply, and OMG will take that dragon.
Yeah, the Baron, 6 grubs, and the Tryndamere does result in very fast tower takes. Drake going over. And this game should chill out for a couple of minutes. Well, knowing these teams, maybe it won't, but it certainly should chill out for a couple of minutes. We've got less than a minute left on the Baron buff. Ultra Prime haven't really been able to use it for that much. Sure, you get the top lane tower, but that was really the only tower they've actually been able to threaten, and I think will be able to threaten before this buff runs out. As potentially it is good that you are able to take it away from your opponents. And so, taking stock of the way that the game looks right now, 2 items completed on everybody, 3 items completed on pretty much everybody right now for Ultra Prime. They're in an incredibly strong position, but at the same time, Starry is also having a great game, as is Hery, both of those champions dealing mad damage at this point. And it just depends on how you can weave your way through a team fight, because the straight up front to back team fight should be in the favor of Ultra Prime. The only spanner in that work is the equalizer.
I'm wondering now, though, if we... At this point, there's 2 very different ways that these compositions approach team fights, right? Like, OMG are fully fine taking front to backs, taking a little bit split fights. Ultra Prime, I feel like, though, on their side, have a little bit more particular ways they want to take these fights, don't you think?
If you can just find yourself an immediate pick with RosieLove, then obviously that makes these team fights so much easier. And you're also kind of waiting on a few of these key abilities landing first to make these team fights happen, right? So hit a Swell Seed into a Lilting Lullaby, then you can go in. It's a lot harder to just straight up run at your opponents because they do so much damage. And sure, you've got a couple of invulnerabilities, but you will die pretty quickly, and having to blow those at the wrong time will pretty much immediately result in your death. So yeah, it's a little bit trickier to play this one out.
A little hard.
A little bit hard. That being said, though, right, you're still in a great spot. These teams are so even. I think this is the most even we've been at 30 minutes in this series. 2 Drakes to 3, basically dead even in terms of gold. There's just a couple more towers that have been taken over, but that's it. It's so close.
Yeah, a lot of vision up towards this top side of the map. Junhao is actually backing up Saber down here just in case. I mean, you can't really escape the Lilting Lullaby, so they might just be trying to burn down some of this side lane gold here, as it's OMG looking to make a play up towards top side of the map. They're just going to go on Hery, even if the Swirl Seed didn't hit. Realize after the TP they need to get out of there. That will be Linfeng joining the defense on bot side.
Still, you managed to get both the golden and the TP out. Those are both big key things that you're going to be tracking. Not really happy about losing for OMG before a next potential fight. Still 2 minutes until we are going to actually get this next fight. And look at that. Both Linfeng and Hery both just grab themselves the Zhonyas. So they know that they are going to have to pop that pretty much on top of a lilting lullaby. That's when you're expecting them to have to use that, otherwise you can just get bopped down so very quickly. You have to track when they have that up and when they don't, because again, key abilities, the McHale's too on Moham. You can tell just how many stuns and things everybody's worried about.
I mean, this next fight at the Baron is going to be a backbreaker for either side. Really want to see if Saber can kind of pull the attention across the map, or he's just going to come to the fight with the hull breaker completed there. It really feels like OMG have a little bit of the driver's seat here in these kind of objective-like situations.
Yeah, they certainly do, but they have to be careful to not lose too much on the backside if Saber does decide to just go and push down one of these side lanes. So far, he seems very happy to just get involved with the team fights, though. Team fight trend him in, not necessarily something you would always expect.
Right?
But yeah, for the minute, it's not exactly been working for them perfectly. At the same time, maybe pushing onto these side lanes is a little bit tricky. Doesn't have the teleport. Starry.
Oh, Starry.
Ooh, yeah, you don't want to step up right there.
I mean, Moham just kind of saved his life right there, taking a little bit of the damage. As
Equalizer
Equalizer going to come down, they want to pull the trigger on the fight. RosieLove trying to stop them from moving in. Look at Starry's angle. Starry looking good, but lilting lullaby onto 2. Linfeng distracting as they try to go for the backline. Heng is tanking like a storm. Saber trying to finish him off. He has cut the bear down to size, but look at OMG. They have cut Ultra Prime down to size. Starry flashing forward. Starry going insane and more. It's a triple kill, but it doesn't matter. Ultra Prime, they have been dusted. OMG continuously find fights off their phenom in Starry.
Starry lives for so long in that fight, despite the fact that he is in and amongst so many members of Ultra Prime. And you could see in that fight, Junhao was doing the absolute most as well on that Lily. I wonder if we'll get to see a look at the damage done in that one. All kicked off by that initial equalizer. Doesn't really stun onto anybody. You don't really get the combo off between Moham and the equalizer. Now this, I think, is a potential mistake. RosieLove grabs the volley bear into the backline, and Heng doesn't die. Heng is more than happy to just sit there for a while and takes enough time up, takes Saber
Starry's
out of
so
the fight.
chad.
Yeah, and Starry, he's just chilling. He doesn't get more than enough damage on this champion. Would live if there isn't ridiculous burn on Lilia. And Junhao goes down at the very end as well. It doesn't really turn into too much. Oh, it did. It turned into the Drake at the end, I think, for OMG.
It did,
so they were able to pick themselves up that soul as well. Now, Baron, we're going to get to see this team fight again. Run it back again.
An Ocean Soul now, though. I mean, that's so big for OMG's side. And man, I gotta say, Starry is the ultimate definition of the grass is greener where you water it. This guy has been building up through the OMG system, and it's so much of a payoff to see him dragging them here with these kills, with these plays in the last 2 games. Now he's got to try to finish it off here as Baron already getting low. Equalizer going to be popped. Usually that's the sign that OMG want to go forward. Looks like Equalizer will be waited out by Ultra Prime. They have an angle. Quickness into the grand entrance, into the combo as they have everybody grouped up. Ultra Prime is actually doing a really good job of fighting front to back. Look at Wako. He's got a lot of distance, and the Blade Caller going to be coming through as well. Damage down. Starry is not going to be able to save them this time. Ultra Prime, we said this game is back and forth and back and forth, and we're rubber banded yet again.
Oh, that was the fight that you really needed to find right there as Ultra Prime. They're going to carry on, try to get the pick onto Hery. Really don't think it's likely he's going to be able to survive. Does a ton of damage, to be fair, but even with the golden, falls in the end. Ace right there, picked up for Ultra Prime. Now, I don't think they can... Ooh, can they end?
Big
30 seconds, 6 grubs.
6 grubs.
They might be able to.
This is where past Ultra Prime is saying, yeah, I got you, baby. Let's go. They are murdering these turrets. They are murdering these structures. Moham, the only one coming up. They should be able to defend this one. Ultra Prime, maybe they're feeling dancy. Maybe they're feeling antsy. Maybe they're feeling like they want to get in there as Moham trying to block them up, but they're just going for the turrets. They have one mind together, and it's to try to end this, but Starry comes in and just melts them down to size. No. Give them a triple kill.
Oh, such a mistake right there. I don't know how much Ultra Prime are going to lose for it, but now they've got 50-second death timers. Now the push and the priority is on OMG. Linfeng trying to push to the bottom lane isn't quite going to be able to, and this play would be even better in past seasons, but Nexus turrets respawn now. you've only got those Nexus turrets down for a little while, 3 minutes. It's really not as impactful as it used to be in the past 30 seconds.
Nexus to Nexus?
There's no way.
Oh
if OMG push this through and try to end, they might be making the same mistake.
Let's do it. Do it. If you're going to go down, you go down swinging, just like, unfortunately, the wave did there too. Saber, and try to get a little bit of distance, but unfortunately dies. That's rough, though, because that's really staggered, and Saber is a massive part of your team, just trying to save some time with getting that wave. As now OMG have their eyes set on just what Ultra Prime was doing a few moments ago under turret. But guess what? They turned the towers off because Heng is a monster. The monster has come to town. OMG, that's a big blade caller, but Wako's down. The turret's still going. They're changed up, and they are killing them. But Starry have help there. The Ocean Soul is so massive right now. They're going to be healing so much, and all that's left for Ultra Prime is one last defense. OMG, are they going to feel just as amped as they were just in game number 4? They're trying to go for the fight. Lilting Lullaby back from Linfeng. Anything you can do, I can do better, OMG says, as they look to take the final neck and the final head of Ultra Prime. What a finish to this group, and what a finish for OMG. They will finally win their first series.
Never has a team name felt more appropriate
Cinema.
Than Oh my god. Game 5, best of 5, Nexus to Nexus. LPL, baby.
Absolute.
This is what I was promised when I got told that the LPL was a thing. I was told that this region fights, and they fight, and they just keep on fighting, and this one was fights from the very beginning to the very end. OMG coming out on top. Well-deserved victory, but man, that feels rough for Ultra Prime.
It does, but honestly, as a final series, I think there's a lot to have been proud of from Ultra Prime. I think both these teams are down in the dumps when they're thinking about what happened in winter, what they want to try and improve on going to spring, but you know this series meant a lot to everybody involved. I know it means even more for OMG. Just the development that was on this stage tonight is so awesome to see. It's not names that are going to be bursting up to the top 4 in a league that is so filled with such great talent, but is the names that you're going to be seeing in the future years, the ones building their stories now. So it's awesome to see, especially Starry. 2 games in a row, the man was just king.
Oh, yeah. He was popping off right there. There were some Kai'Sa plays where I was like, there's no way that you managed to live that one. And he did. And he was just running through. I mean, gorgeous play from so many members. And like you said, so many young people. When I was looking through the ages of these rosters, under 20 years old for vast majority of these players, bright futures ahead of many of them. And it's so great to see them be able to actually pick up a win right here for, oh my god, they did so well for themselves. Game 1 was honestly the least competitive of all of the games. They kind of just dismantled in that first one. Everything else super back and forth.
And I know the Ultra Prime social media manager is going to be sad. I feel you. I'm so sorry. But also, like, honestly, there were some really good moments for Ultra Prime. Again, we go back and forth about it, just saying that, you know, both teams had some really interesting moments as well. But hey, somebody had to win. We all knew that was like the contractual obligation when we came into the night. And even if they will just be a battle for 3rd or 4th place, it was still a lot of fun. So who do you think was looking the best in this one? I don't know if maybe Starry gets a little bit of hangover benefit from last game.
But for me, oh my lord, I really don't know. That one felt absolutely ridiculous. For my money, I would give it to Starry. Like you said, maybe a little bit of hangover potentially would hurt it, but like that performance was incredible. There was just so many situations in which, to all rights, he should have died, and he just didn't.
The flash is forward, man.
Forward. No, never backwards. Backwards.
Never backwards.
Not for him. Forward all the time. Who would you give it to?
That's hard. I feel like Linfeng.
It was a good performance.
He had some really good moments. It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm just happy that a lot, like, the things that had been going so wrong for OMG finally looked like some kind of semblance of maybe a patch or a bandage on that. And that's what, going into spring, hopefully a lot of these players are back. Hopefully the entire players are back for both rosters, so they can continue building on performances like this. Because I mean, if we're just talking about the format, it is literally being thrown into the fire. Like, you instantly are playing best of fives, you're instantly playing full fearless, and usually 2 people out of your group are pretty top dogs in the LPL. So being able to take away anything from this split is always important.
I mean, coming over from Europe to this is the most insane format I think I've ever seen, especially when you add Fearless on top of it, right? You get to play 3 series, they're all best of 5, have fun, good luck, and you can't pick the same champion twice. I mean, whoever thought this system up is nuts.
Between LTA North and, well, I guess LTA in general and LPL, man, these teams don't got a lot of time. You got to turn it around real quick.
And it's so different to what the LPL's been playing before, where they used to play a million games. You used to be playing games
single round robin out of 17 teams. You have to play everybody
constantly. And now, hope you get drawn into a group with some teams that you can beat. I mean, hey, it's not impossible. Thunder Talk were able to do it. They've been able to pull them out. Look at this gold graph. That was a roller coaster and a half. It's an even more insane one than previously. You are losing that game basically until you win that game. You are losing that game until your opponents decide to throw themselves down mid at your Nexus for towers that now respawn. I mean,
they didn't need to do it, man.
They had that game in the bag. Ultra Prime did. This is really where you do feel that these are young players who maybe don't have the experience to know, hey, this is probably a bad decision to make. Still, for the pure entertainment value, I'm very glad that they did. That's one of the craziest endings to a game I think I've ever seen.
It's just so funny how it all comes down to it. We get to look back through some of the clips and all the fun that was had. A lot of non-action in the mid lane that I thought maybe would get a little bit more action when we got the Tryndamere. The Tryndamere didn't really have, honestly, much of an effect, I feel like, in a lot of cases.
It munched towers early.
It did.
And then it team fought.
And then it picked Hullbreaker and team fought.
Yeah.
I know we're getting a little nitpicky, so we don't need to go down the rabbit hole of what Tryndamere needs to be building and whatnot. But hey, I'm still happy for the spice in a fearless draft.
Yeah, it was fun. For the pure, brain freeze it gave me as it was picked at the very beginning of the game, that was worthwhile. But, I mean, looking back at these moments, oh my lord. I mean, in the previous one, Raafaa was like, I feel like we've been here for 16 years. You know, so much happened in the previous game. Tenfold for this one as well. These team fights are so close. Like, the fact that these team fights are as close as they are, people are so low health the entire time, it felt like everything was on a knife's edge. Linfeng in that fight nearly dies, so nearly dies, and again on all of these, it never felt like we really got to see a massive lilting lullaby that landed onto as many members as we wanted to see from either. To be fair, you didn't get to see it from the Silas either.
Except at the end,
yeah, that final one, all of a sudden you managed to win out with it. But I mean, it was a great performance. I think Linfeng did look great. I wouldn't be mad about the MVP going to him, or even to Hery as well. Going back to that MVP conversation, there were multiple times where, I mean, he's not the flashiest of Champions Rumble because a lot of the damage that he's doing feels a bit passive from that Flame Spitter and from the fact you've got the Equalizer on the floor. You can't really see that it's dealing damage. It's the same sort of thing that I feel when I watch a good Talia play. Sure, the seismic shot is cool, but for the most part, you don't really notice that she's dealing damage until you look at the damage graph at the end, and she did twice the amount of anybody else. Same sort of thing for Hery.
Do we have to watch this again?
No. They respawn. Those towers
and then we just cut to the other side.
Yeah. Well, there's no point in, I guess, watching the 20 seconds between those clips where they walk down mid lane and end the game. Well-deserved victory for OMG, but I would have said the exact same words if Ultra Prime had have actually managed to end it there.
Yeah, I think, honestly, both teams would have been very happy with it. I'm still very happy with the series as a whole, being able to see as much as this. Because I'm just about pointing any fingers, but maybe, you know, about 24 hours ago, there was another series that didn't deliver like this. So, you know, we actually get 5 games. We get both teams giving us a good performance.
This one is the only series I've cast on LPL English in the last 2 days. Nothing else happened.
Nothing else happened. Definitely
not. Starry gets it.
Starry gets MVP off of the Jinx performance, off of the Kai'Sa performance. This guy who has been with this organization for so long and has been trying to build his way up there since like 2021 or something along those lines. It's been absolutely crazy to watch his glow up in a team that's trying to rebuild, that's trying to refine themselves after so many years of that kind of dark horse nature.
Because of the way that ADC is, when a team is not great at the overall team play, they're often the one that suffers the most because they rely on the rest of the team to help them out, to be the front line for them, to be the healers, to give them the space to be able to do what the ADC can. This team has had struggles with that, but in this series today, really were able to give Starry that space that he needed, and boy did he pay them back tenfold. I mean, having, what was that, 13, 2, and 8 KDA, 84% kill participation, flashing forwards multiple times, you shouldn't die that little when playing Kai'Sa this aggressively. Look at that! That is disgusting. That should be inting, and yet it isn't. It's so much extra damage, extra kills that you're able to get for your team because you play this aggressively. Sure, you die in the end, but who cares? Starry was playing on a knife's edge, but with the backup of the team, with the help, honestly, in this play here, just about respawning, is able to win this game for the team. Very deserved to get those 2 MVPs for him.
And we were even talking the draft, like the Kai'Sa into this comp, it's going to be difficult. You got to find avenues. The scaling came online for them, and some of those early laid plans for OMG saying we want to wait this out. We want to wait to get some of these items. Ended up paying out for them. So Starry, he'll scoop up some MVPs here tonight, and I love to see that, especially from our new and developing players. But hey, at least he got a lot of votes as well. Even Moham got votes?
Yeah.
We're not going to talk. It doesn't matter. He didn't win.
Fair
Didn't
enough.
matter. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything else.
No, I mean, I feel like the real takeaway I've gotten from today and from watching the sort of overall series, overall split that OMG have had is there's a reason that this team were able to take JDG all the way to 5 games. If it was a best of 1 or a best of 3, they would have beaten JDG. This team has something special. I really hope the full roster sticks around for next split because I think there's a lot to be able to build on here. And they've got some key young players, mid lane, bot lane, that are so exciting. And I really can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, I also got to give a special shout out to Junhao on the side of Ultra Prime. I think he actually had some really good moments tonight. Was playing pretty aggressively as a jungle, and I think the land of the LPL is really difficult for junglers, especially newer junglers. So nice to see some of that confidence still there, and hopefully Ultra Prime can build on that as well. But hey, I'm glad I got to come in and join for the 5th game. I got to experience the ultimate banger. And then we got to cast together for the first time, so it was a lot of fun. But that is going to be it for our night of the LPL English. That means that we obviously have to get to our wonderful moment where we have to chill for ourselves. Because thank you so very much to our Elite Coffee supporter, Aaron Soup. Your contribution helps level up our broadcast in so many different ways, but it also helps support everybody who dedicates all of their time to this broadcast. If you want to be like Aaron Soup, if you want to be cool like that, please subscribe to our coffee. We'll have the links in the chat. Please support any way you can. You'll get access to interviews. You get access to asking questions in those interviews and all the content that follows along with that. Thank you so much all for tuning in. Bloxer, thank you so much for joining me on the day. Mickey behind the scenes of production, you're the GOAT.